The star was David Grusch, a former intel officer for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or NGA. He made headlines last month when he claimed the U.S. government has been hiding UFO crash debris and even dead non-human pilots. But this time he said it under oath. Play the tape.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
So they're aliens, but they're dead. Guess they probably killed themselves when they learned I was married. It happens a lot. So what does a biologic look like?
So what is going on here? Well, this is Greg Gutfeld, the king of late night, if you have been living under a rock, apparently. I've been watching the Gutfeld show as I'm trying to fall asleep laying in bed, as he has a new time slot now. I never watched the show before. I watched clips. I would find clips online sometimes and watch them. And you know, the show is not that good, honestly. It's pretty boring, actually. It helps me fall asleep. Now, he's the king of late night, so that means that everybody else on late night is much worse, apparently, or at least worse, which is pretty sad because, yeah, he has episodes that are better than other episodes, and he has segments that are better than other segments, but overall, I'm like, yeah, this is nothing special. Now, he's talking about aliens, of course. We had this David Grusch guy come forward and say, oh, no, I know there's aliens. 100% I know. Even though he calls them biologics here, non-human biologics, which is almost everything on Earth. And, of course, this really doesn't have anything to do with being woke, right? But I want to throw my hat into the ring on this alien thing because the last few years, it's been a big deal. It's been a big hullabaloo about, oh, look, we're finding aliens. And I think people are settling down about it a little bit because, you know, nothing has come forward. And we've been through this before. No concrete evidence has come forward. One of the things that prompted me to make this video is that I seem to have a very different perspective than most people. There are people I've met who share the perspective that I'm going to explain to you throughout this video. But it seems like most people don't understand the point of view that I have. So I want to detail that to you so that we can all kind of be like, yeah, it's probably not aliens. Whatever it is that's out there, the odds of it being aliens are super extra slim. And I'm not going to be talking about the distance traveled argument very much in this video. It's going to be other stuff that I've come across in my life. Now, before we get started, I do want to thank everybody for stopping by. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed because YouTube does unsubscribe people every single day. You can find me on Rumble, on Twitter. Sometimes I upload a BitChute and Odyssey, and they're kind of a pain, so I'm going to be getting into some other stuff too. I did apply for the partnership program and I haven't heard anything, so I'm probably going to be going into Subscribestar so that I can take donations if anybody feels so inclined to support my work monetarily. So Greg he's flabbergasted. He just doesn't understand why aliens aren't the biggest thing that we're talking about right now.
Testimony, a bigger news story. An ex-government official said we have alien bodies. That's either the greatest story in human history or the greatest hoax. We've had decades of sci-fi movies made about this very moment, and we're all like, yeah, cool, let's watch Barbie.
Well, yeah, because he said non-human biologics. Okay, what was it? Fungus? That's non-human biologic. It could be something completely innocuous from Earth. It could be nothing at all. It could have been alien, but Barbie is a much more interesting topic to talk about right now. Of course, we know why there's the push for the aliens. Everybody knows, right? It's to distract us from the Joe Biden corruption.
Have we become that bored? I mean, what do we do after we hear about aliens? We go back to our phones.
Yes, again, prove to me there's aliens. It's like Bigfoot. I would love there to be aliens. I would love there to be a giant furry man beast living in the woods. I hope I'm wrong about all this stuff. I hope that Bigfoot's real. I hope that aliens are here among us and they're making babies with humans. That would be so awesome. I wanted this to be like Star Wars on steroids, married to Star Trek. That's what I want the universe to be like. Just everywhere you go, there's freaking humanoid, intelligent aliens running around, making starships, traveling between planets. That would be the coolest thing ever. And I want it to happen tomorrow so that I can experience it in my lifetime a lot. But no, my phone has way more interesting things. I don't use my phone for that. I mean, I'm in front of the computer, I don't know, 75% of my day or something. So I don't need to use my phone for the internet. Yeah, people are like, give me hard evidence. I've seen this 1,000 times already. I don't care anymore. Now, Kat Timpf has a different take on as to why this is not an important issue for the media or for people in general. Let's take a listen.
So what do you think?
I think that actually what you were saying earlier explains it all. You said that both sides are interested in it. That's why we don't talk about it more. Because there's no political advantage to talking about aliens right now. If we find out there's aliens, there's no way that the government can do it. But if they found out that aliens were woke,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. If there was some sort of political advantage to the discussion of aliens, to the discovery of aliens, then yeah, it'd be all over the place. There'd be arguments about it. There would be people saying, "No, you're wrong. The right wing it's a conspiracy theory. Oh no, you're wrong. The left wing it's a conspiracy theory," and so on and so forth about this stuff. I mean, the only reason I have this channel discussing wokeness is because there is actually some truth to what the woke say. There is a grain of truth in there. You know, the best myths, the best legends, the best lies are based on truth. And she's right. This would be a bigger deal if there were some sort of political advantage to it. Now, I want to get into the reasons why this is not aliens. And I really hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that it is aliens. But it's such a slim possibility that it's not aliens, okay? The first thing I want to talk about is what it takes for life to actually develop on a planet. Now, we don't know for sure all of the different things that are required because we've never been able to recreate life in a lab. But we're pretty certain we need to have liquid water and carbon. Those two things are essential. And we've found thousands of exoplanets now outside of our solar system, but not even anywhere near the majority of those planets appear to have liquid water on the surface. So that's going to limit a lot the amount of planets that evolve life, that develop life. As far as we know, I mean, looking at our own solar system, life happens on the vast minority of planets or moons, right? There's we got 8 planets. We got some planetoids. There's more than just Pluto. There's a couple of them floating around our solar system. And then we got a bunch of moons, like hundreds of moons. And as far as we can tell, there's life that happened on one planet, maybe 2, maybe on Mars. We're not sure yet. But the reason we need to have liquid water, you got solids, you got liquids, and you got air. Nothing happens in a solid, right? Nothing moves around. In the liquid, the carbon moves around, bumps into each other, sticks to each other, and then it makes all these different configurations. And then life starts happening because of those different configurations that are really complex. Amino acids arise, and then we suspect that's what turns into life eventually. Now, it can't happen in a gas either because there's too much movement in a gas. The carbon atoms will bump into each other, but they won't stick to each other, or they only stick to each other a little bit or every once in a great while, whereas in liquid, there's enough pressure from the water to help them bond together. And I believe that water has another characteristic that is essential for this process to happen. So you can't just have it in any liquid. For example, I think it's Titan, the moon of Saturn, has liquid on the surface. It's not liquid water, it's liquid methane and ethane. So it has to happen in liquid water. It can't happen in methane. But like I said, we see the minority of planets that we look out and see in other solar systems have liquid water on the surface. Okay, on top of the rarity of life coming about, what happens to life once it gets started? Well, it has to become sufficiently complex enough to develop intelligence. Let's take a rat as an example. Take the largest rat we have ever seen, that's ever existed. That rat will never be as smart as a human. And you might be saying, well, yeah, of course, it's an animal. Duh. Well, we cannot do anything to really make that rat smarter. We can't teach that rat and then have it become as smart as a human. And it's just physically impossible, not because of the type of brain, but the size of the brain of the rat. Because you have to have life that is sufficiently large enough to have a big enough brain, to have enough brain cells for high intelligence to develop. So there you go. And you might be thinking, well, then why isn't an elephant intelligent? Well, that's a whole other can of worms. Just because you have a large brain doesn't mean that you're going to be intelligent, but you need to have a large brain to develop high intelligence. So like fairies in mythological stories cannot become as intelligent as humans because their brains are just too small. They don't have enough brain cells. Just that's how it is. Now, what has to happen for animals to become large enough, to have large enough brains to become intelligent? Collagen. Collagen has to evolve, or something similar to collagen, because everything was pretty much small until collagen evolved. So that collagen does not have to evolve That doesn't have to happen. Life can exist for billions of years on a planet and no collagen evolves for whatever reason. Now, on top of life having to be big enough and complex enough, life has to come onto land and become diverse on land. All right, why does life have to come onto land? Because we cannot develop high technology underwater. Doesn't matter how smart you are, you're not going to be able to smelt metal underwater. And metal is essential for human beings going into outer space where like things kill you instantaneously pretty much. You have to have metal, and you can't do that underwater. So life has to come onto land, and conditions on land have to be such that life can thrive and become diverse. Why is that? Because if you have conditions on land which are so harsh to the life that it has to evolve to contend with those conditions, like it's just barely hanging on because the conditions are so harsh, then it's not going to become very diverse. For example, if we had high winds constantly on the surface, life would not be able to explore different options for survival as easily, and therefore life would all kind of be stuck as like just life to deal with the high winds. Like the trees would be shorter and thicker, and all the plants would be shorter and thicker, and the animals would be smaller and have more robust limbs, and they would have thicker epidermis or exoskeleton, or all that stuff would have to be to survive in the high wind environment, and that's not going to allow for much diversity. And there's other factors. That could be too much radiation, not enough radiation. All these different factors could play into eliminating a life's ability to thrive on the surface of the planet. Okay, so let's say you're big enough, you're complex enough, and you're on land. You got all those three things going on, none of which have to happen for life to exist. Then you have to evolve high enough intelligence to develop technology. And there's nothing that says that high intelligence has to evolve. Nothing at all. For most of the time life has existed on planet Earth, it hasn't been highly intelligent. It's only in the last few million years that we see high intelligence starting to peek through. Human beings have pretty much reached the maximum of that nature can provide for us due to the size of the birth canal. You're not going to be plopping out babies with bigger heads than we already have, and thus bigger brains, and thus more intelligent. And the predominant theory as to why human beings developed high intelligence is because we started eating cooked food. There's nothing to say that a race of aliens would ever start eating cooked food. The reason that cooked food allowed us to become more intelligent is because it allowed our digestive system to shorten and become smaller, and for us to put more energy into other systems in our body. And one of those was the brain, which is it's like a resource monster. It just wants to take as much of our resources as possible to fuel this thing. I mean, and there's also the fringe theory of magic mushrooms help make humans intelligent too. So there's all these different factors that go into making intelligence, and thus started developing tools and technology. So once technology gets started, how many thousands of years have human beings been on planet Earth before we even developed rudimentary space travel? We developed rudimentary space travel 70 years ago, 60 years ago, and we've been here for thousands of years. And there's nothing to say that human beings could not have died off in the tens of thousands of years that we've been here. There's potential extinction events or near extinction events that have already happened. People want to point to the Toba volcanic eruption from 74,000 years ago, and how the human population might have dropped down to as low as a few dozen human beings. However, scientists now, I think, don't think that the Toba volcanic eruption was a near extinction event for humans, but there was something that happened within the last 100,000 years where the population of human beings bottlenecked down to maybe a few dozen humans, probably more, probably around a few thousand human beings, but still, that's going to set back your tech development. Plus, if that had just gone a little bit farther, human beings extinct, no more intelligent life on the planet, and then no aliens exploring space and finding humans. So once technology gets to the level where human beings can go into space and can explore space, then it has to get to the level where they can travel between stars. The nearest star, of course, is Alpha Centauri, over 4 light years from here. We can't travel at the speed of light. As far as we can tell, that's impossible. Nobody can travel at the speed of light because we're not made of energy. We're made of matter. So getting to Alpha Centauri, to say we move it half the speed of light, that's 8 years. That's an 8-year trip one way. That is logistically a nightmare at our current level of technology. Even as we understand advancing our technology, that's going to be very, very difficult to get a small group of humans through space for 8 years, and then we have to bring them back. I mean, this would be probably a one-way trip. So even though they go there, yeah, we can communicate with them. We're waiting 8 years for them to get there, and then we're waiting 8 years for that message that, hey, we arrived, to get back to us. Or, well, not 8 years. You're waiting 4 years for that message to get back to us because it could travel the speed of light. So that's a 12-year journey for just one little trip, and people are going to lose interest in 12 years, right? People's lives are complex these days. So the notion that aliens have evolved to high intelligence and then found us with their technology, yeah, that's pretty out there. Not saying it can't happen, but it's just really, really slim possibility that it did happen. And of course, there could be different technology that allows travel across these vast distances of space to happen much more quickly. So we don't know all the different ways of doing things in the universe. So the technology part is why I didn't want to talk about that very much, because who knows, right? But as far as intelligent life evolving somewhere else in the universe, yeah, pretty slim chance. Pretty slim chance. And then on top of that, they got to find us. So really, really unlikely that aliens are something that we need to worry about happening. And again, this is just, let's focus on aliens instead of the crap that the country's actually going through, that people are actually suffering in the United States. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate everybody sticking around and listening to me rant about life being rare in the universe. Now we have a video of another cat that appears to be a genius.